And one final point about how so many Australians, and again Victoria is the obscene example, have been terrified into giving up their freedoms. Oh, it's the science, they're told. The politicians wave some document at them. The science. We see the same con with global warming. These scientific models, they tell you, obey the politicians or we'll die. Now the thing is, as I've pointed out for more than a year, these models always seem to grossly exaggerate the true danger. For instance, last year we were told that the virus would kill between 50,000 and 150,000 Australians, when the real death toll so far, not even 1,200. Also March last year, we were told that Australia could run out of ICU beds for coronavirus patients in just 10 days. Well, of course, didn't even come close. And just last month, the Burnet Institute warned that unless new controls introduced in July, or indeed new ones in the future, unless they had a major impact, Sydney would have about 7,700 cases per day 4 weeks from that date. Well, the Burnet Institute was completely wrong. In fact, the New South Wales government has since relaxed some restrictions. Yet, even so, new infections have fallen from a high of 1,600, what's that, a quarter of what was predicted, to under 1,000 cases today. That's good news, by the way, under 1,000 cases. That's a huge fall, not predicted by these models. But Victoria's Daniel Andrews, get this, is now relying on this same Burnet Institute to justify telling Victorians yesterday, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to lock you down until November at least, and then I'll think about giving you just a few scraps of your freedom back, just a few. Can't be too careful. And that's despite the fact that by then we'll be 70% vaccinated, which is more than what America is, right? But one look at this modelling that Daniel Andrews is waving in the faces of Victorians should have told him it was another dud. It's junk. Because this modelling says that even if the lockdown in Victoria stays for the rest of the year, 964 Victorians, nearly 1,000 Victorians will still die of the virus in the last 6 months of the year. And right there, you know this model is junk. Because it is claiming Victoria will have more virus deaths in the last 6 months of this year than it's had in the 16 months of the virus before, when almost nobody was vaccinated and nursing homes weren't properly protected. And to add to this craziness, the Institute says 2,000 Victorians will die in 6 months, even if Andrews very, very slowly opens up the state from November. And this is just unbelievable nonsense. And Daniel Andrews today barely even tried to defend it.
Modelling is about trying to predict things, so there's always a caveat on that. But look, my reaction when I saw the modelling was that we are right to have a national plan that steps this out. We're right to have a national plan that looks at 70 and 80, because even at 70 and 80, so not 60 or 50, even at 70 and 80, there's a really significant pressure on our health system. It cannot be a race to open up, because we'll finish up overwhelming our hospital system.
Victorians are being fed totally alarmist rubbish, these models, to justify being locked up for even longer. And excuse me, that last bit that Andrew said, no one should be locked up just to ease pressure on doctors and nurses in hospitals. Not in Victoria, not now. Not after a year and a half. The government should have been making the hospital system adjust so that people can be free. The people exist not to make life easier for the hospitals should be there to make life easier for the people. And I don't believe anything that this Premier says anymore, nor Anastasia Palaszczuk in Queensland, by the way. Right now in Victoria, there are 59 people with COVID in intensive care beds. Last year, April, Daniel Andrews boasted that he was giving hospitals money to create another 4,000 ICU beds, plus the staff for them, to cope with any peak. 4,000 new ICU beds, he boasted then, he'd just created. Just 59 being used today. Yet he now says the state must stay in lockdown to stop the system from coming under strain. So was the Premier lying then about all these thousands of ICU beds that are created and that somehow I can't see anymore? Or is the Premier lying now when he says they're under stress? Either way, Victorians are being played for fools